This is my friend Chris Lightfoot. He loved nature, liked animals, particularly cats, went for beautiful long walks. This is someone else's baby, not his baby. As well as knowing him personally, he was also a colleague. We met through our shared interest in computers and democracy and how to use them well together. And we're both one of the very few employees for a really important charity called My Society, who is doing democracy across the world. He had a big impact on showing people how information technology could fit well with society in a way which was way ahead of its time, and he had things like an obituary in the Times because of that. And this is the blog post I wrote a few weeks after he died. He had depression and killed himself about 10 years ago. So I'm telling this story because this is one I can talk about because he's dead, but there are lots of other people, in fact most other people, who had some kind of mental illness. And I found this out talking to friends afterwards. I hadn't realised before Chris died. And it turned out when I talked to people about it, they would go, oh yes, this happened to me, and I had depression, I got over depression. Lots and lots of people. I suddenly felt like there was this plague that was invisible that I hadn't known about through society. The next few slides are blank, and they're just for us to be silent and think about people we know who are suffering from mental illness or have suffered from it in the past. There's actually, in any given year, so in this year, 1 in 4 people in the UK have a seriously diagnosed mental illness. It's really, really common, and I had no idea. And it's getting increasingly talked about now, but it's largely untalked about. So if you don't know about mental illness now, I've picked up a lot just from talking to friends who have it over time. Obvious thing, it's something involuntary. It's your brain is in a state where it can't get out of. So treat it that way, like an illness. The second thing is it really does seem to come often from things that happened in childhood. I thought this poem at university, this Larkin poem, was a bit much and a bit harsh on parents and childhood. The second verse sort of explains it more, because often when there are problems in childhood, it's actually come from a previous generation. So you find it was a grandparent who had quite severe abuse, and it spreads down through generations. So childhood really is important. As far as I can tell. Not always, but for lots of mental illnesses. This is the book I'm Okay, You're Okay, which is about transactional analysis, which is one of the talking therapies. So the ways that people deal with mental illness are partly by taking drugs as a crutch to help cope, and then ultimately by having some kind of talking therapy over often a period of many years to recover. The key thing that I never understood, and only recently fully understood, is that mental illnesses are the only ones where the organ you usually use to get better, the brain, is the thing that's ill. So they're extra hard to cope with. They're compared to any other illness where you're using your still active brain to try and help yourself. It doesn't happen. So there's a particular need for people who are healthy at the moment to help people who have mental illnesses. It has to be done by the person who's ill. They have to recover themselves, but they need support to do that and coaching to do that. There's lots of help these days because of the internet. So if you think somebody is suffering or you're worried about somebody, places like Mind and all sorts of other resources on the internet, Rethink Mental Illness, have resources to help you work out what to do. There are lots of really good books, like Get Informed, learn about it. And the support is more about kind of coaching, being there, encouraging, helping, as a kind of not either forcing or just accepting. Politically, we need to spend 10 times, 100 billion cost the economy, and you spend 10 billion on it. We could save money by having a proper national mental health service. We don't. It's too hard to get talking therapy. It just said 3/4 of people don't get treatment. So I think as a society, we're letting down people who are mentally ill, and it's lots of people I know. So be gentle with people you know, and be aware that almost anyone you talk to will know somebody or themselves be mentally ill. Finally, I don't want you to clap me at the end of this talk. I want you to clap everyone who is mentally ill and has been, and is every day working really hard, doing a possibly difficult thing to try and keep themselves and get themselves better. So just thank everyone who's ill for the work they're doing, trying to make themselves better.